Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Game Logic from the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, one of the co-hosts of the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. Back with another episode of Enough to Keep Going. I may have said that already. I don't know. Here with me tonight, as always, I have my stalwart partners in crime. Starting with Towmaster99. How you doing, Tao?
I'm doing well. Is it going to be one of those nights tonight?
You held us there with suspense, like, ooh, who's it going to be?
What's going on?
A flurry of activity. Furious here in the opening minutes of the podcast. And that other gentleman that you hear on the mic is Mr. DBQ Hams. How you doing,
yes,
DBQ?
I'm doing well. I think it is going to be one of those nights, Todd. We got some, some excitement to start off with in terms of Game Logic's energy, which, isn't always the case. We've got some people in chat already. Glad to have them there. So we've got plenty to talk about tonight.
Very cool. Starting with, without much further ado, let's get to it. Starting with segment one, our opening segment of the show, starting with our main gamer experience stories from the week. DBQ has been the only one of us who has played anything new. I have bypassed this game, and I have also chosen to bypass NHL 26, which also came out this week. But DBQ has been playing the other game that I have not gotten on yet. So why don't you kick us off with that title, DBQ?
Yeah, so I've been playing some Borderlands 4, playing both on PC and on PS5. So this is a franchise that I've played in many iterations over time, and it's still Borderlands, right? It is still... The humor it's not as cringeworthy as or in your face as 3 was. It's a little more toned back. But it's a really enjoyable shooter. I'm really having a great time. Playing on PC runs pretty smooth. I'm only running it in 1080p on PS5. It looks really good in 4K HDR. It's Borderlands, the cell shaded type of style. So it shows up real nice. Nate, I'm glad that you're playing it, and both on PC and PlayStation as well. On PC, I am running the female kind of inventor tech character. So there's 4 characters you're starting off with. You get to choose from, and on PS5, I'm running the cyber soldier, who's you get when you first get your first skill point. Each character has 3 different kind of special abilities that you can go into. One of the things that this game does differently than previous iterations, you still have a shield generator. There's 2 kind of equipment inventory aspects that it does a little bit differently, or I guess maybe 3, even if I'll go that deep. But you still generate health. You pick up health with the red stim vials, but then you also have a piece of equipment that can replenish your health. It's on a cooldown, and you kind of inject yourself as in order to regain health at different points in time. So that adds a little bit of survivability, where you're not always just hoping to find a red vial somewhere in a brown cardboard box or popping out of an enemy, that you have a little bit more options there. Then you've got, in addition to what has traditionally been your grenade slot, it has it's a little more varied. You still have grenades, but you can also have throwing knives. You have other projectiles. It becomes an equipment slot that has other abilities in it as well. And then one of the other gameplay additions is you basically the equivalent of mods onto your guns, that your different types of guns. This existed in the past. In the past, it was you were collecting the purple, gem bricks and going to a certain vendor to upgrade your, ammo of a submachine gun or of a pistol. And those kind of operate a little bit differently in terms of the currency you're getting is spent in game, is within your inventory. You don't have to necessarily go to an individual vendor for that. Gameplay wise, it still has the mantling from Borderlands 3, the slide that I think started in the pre-sequel. You also get a grappling hook, which gives you a little more verticality. You get the slam that started in the pre-sequel as well. So you've got a number of moves to kind of bring you around and traverse the area. It's also Borderlands has always been kind of an open world ish as you move from zone to zone, but this feels a little bit more so. So much so that they've got, you have a robot character, not Claptrap, but another robot for story reasons, but it can give you kind of a guided path. So one of the things that doesn't have that previous iterations had was a mini map on the screen. And so you don't have that aspect. And so that's where the guide path comes in. But in terms of the gameplay, it is still kind of the Borderlands gunplay, which if you have played any of it before, it still feels like that. It's pretty good. It's rewarding. It is, and I've seen some reviews of this, and I guess I have experienced it as well. Like, it's not throwing legendary loot at you nearly with the frequency that Borderlands 3 did. So purple, blues and greens still make a difference, at least early in the game. Occasionally you run into a purple. If you've pre-ordered and did one of the deluxe editions, you get some legendary weapons to start with as well. But they're much more they're more rare, which gives a little more variety. You're not always, the things you find aren't always junk. Borderlands has always been the granddaddy of looter shooters, first person Diablo, where you're always kind of checking stats and abilities on guns. And so that still is satisfying. It is one of the things I noticed in terms of kind of the rarity and the way they display on screen is like, a regular weapon kind of glows gray. But for some reason for the first probably half hour or so on PlayStation 5 and HDR, it on my settings on my TV, it almost kind of had a light purple hue to it. So I kept thinking I was finding, rare weapons or whatever that category is of purple weapons, but it really is just gray. And then once I found a purple, it was definitely glowing differently, but on the shade within HDR, it kind of, I was confused. Let's just say that. But running on PC, I did not have that issue at all. It's performance-wise running pretty smooth on both. Playing both on PlayStation 5, playing under performance settings and not graphic settings. But yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable. This is a game where your mileage will always vary when you're playing it by yourself. It always works well and has been enjoyable as the kind of hang out and shoot stuff and hang out with friends. It's a game that I've played with family over the years. My uncle and I play online together. My sister-in-law and I play online together. So it's been a game that has always functioned really well in kind of that multiplayer mode. It's got cross-platform off the bat. Again, it's on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series. There is a Switch 2 version that's coming in October. The beginning of October is when the Switch 2 version drops. So, it's Borderlands. It feels really balanced. The gunplay feels good. I don't know that it is going to drastically win somebody over in terms of somebody who's not previously a Borderlands fan. If you didn't enjoy the gameplay of Borderlands, this isn't necessarily going to win you over. If you didn't enjoy the kind of in your face, over the top humor, I think this tones it back to a degree that puts more emphasis on the exploration and the gunplay. It feels more in line with Borderlands 1 in some cases, where even on 2, 2 it was where you started with Handsome Jack and you start to get kind of the snark aspect of the comedy, where at least at this point it's there, but not nearly as kind of hitting you over the head. So I'm really enjoying it. I hope you are, Nate, or at least are finding things to enjoy out of it. So yeah, that's my quick take on Borderlands 4.
So DBQ narrative structure is still the same. It's a linear mainline campaign, and it gives you those missions in sequence, but along the way you have the open world map, and you can go down the road of side missions or whatever.
Yeah, there's still side missions in there. It feels like there's a good number of side missions. And in some ways, because of the more open world feel to it, those side missions take on a different, I don't know, they feel less like you kind of just stumbled into them and more like it's you could go off in an off branch of a series of side missions if you wanted to. Nate in the chat says missing the mini map. Yeah, I think that I do find the map a little easier to understand than Borderlands 3. I think the 3D aspect of Borderlands 3 map, in terms of the verticality, definitely got me at times. But yeah, in terms of the story mode, and the story structure, it's very much kind of moving you forward. It does start to open up a little bit as you get into it, but it feels like, it's enough to propel you forward, but also not so much that you have this kind of complete narrative dissonance of why you're running all these other side missions when you're trying to quickly get to a vault or to save somebody or things like that. So I haven't really met a whole lot of returning characters yet. I know that there are some of them in there. But yeah, so I'm only a couple hours in on both platforms, but enjoying the gameplay experience, I think that's really where I'm at.
And this is back on the narrative structure. This is one that kind of hits you like 4 ways, right? So you get a bunch of kind of main stuff in engine cutscenes. Then you will occasionally find like things that you have to read, right? Like lore or, some data on a pad or on a screen or something.
Yeah. Pop out a side mission out of a mailbox somewhere that's got a note in it or something like that. And a lot of times you end up with characters standing around in a certain spot that are going to dispense a quest that needs you to go kill something or bring some, find something, bring it back to them.
Yeah, you'll have stuff that's revealed on mission boards and whatnot. You'll have characters kind of giving you quips, right? That kind of reveal little pieces of the story. So all that is still kind of the same.
Yeah, that part is still the same. You get the, if a character's talking and you move away from them or keep moving through the level, their little image will pop up on the upper corner and continue to talk. The kind of delivery mechanisms of the narrative haven't drastically changed, at least at this point.
And standard question that we always ask on E2KG, are you playing handheld or docked? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, wrong platforms.
Yeah, I have not even tried it on the Steam Deck.
Totally just kidding.
Yeah, I am playing it completely docked in a stationary console. Yes.
So but do you know if it has Steam Deck verified Steam Deck?
I don't think so. I'll check as we go here. Okay. It wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't, given what it is at this point on the store page. Let's see. I think one of the things, this is, I think it's a personal preference piece. Like it is not verified for Steam Deck yet at this point. I appreciate in a first-person shooter the precision of a mouse and keyboard. The controller works just fine, but at the same time, I find myself enjoying the up close to the screen while I'm trying to line up a headshot or get a flying enemy, which have always been challenging to shoot down in this franchise as well. So one of the reasons I chose the cyber soldier character for PlayStation was that one of the early perks you can get is 2 guns that kind of pop out of your shoulder pack that start shooting at things. And so it becomes a little more forgiving. You have a siren, Lilith, who has always been a siren. Each game has had some type of siren character, and oftentimes they have some type of area effect or ability to kind of suspend or put an enemy in stasis, which makes it a little more forgiving as well if you're playing on a console or playing with a controller. And there's in this case the siren character also has some type of stasis in addition to kind of some spectral attacks and things like that. So be curious, Nate, what characters you're playing as you're on 2 different consoles as well.
Okay. And I did totally know that was not a appropriate question. It was a shtick. It was just a nod to how often we ask that question and all the Nintendo stuff that we have to talk about tonight. Tao, did you have any questions or anything you wanted to go over?
Excuse me, just the one. What was the reasoning between buying it on both PC and PS5? Did you just want to check the difference between consoles, or?
No, I mean, I appreciate checking the difference between consoles. The reason is that because of who I play with, that they're on different consoles, and so
Okay. Makes sense.
It happened to have enough credit for a discounted price on one console, and then found a new egg code that dropped off $15 on a PC. So I was able to find them on, make it relatively affordable. So that's why it is very much about the community that I play with, being on multiple platforms. So
PC, you doing mouse and keyboard too, or are you doing controller?
Oh,
Or you play on
mouse
PC?
and keyboard on PC for sure. Yep.
All right, just wondering.
No, but you did say that it had crossplay, right? So was it just a matter of like I often know that like when I play with friends on console, it drives me nuts, quite frankly, that like they want to use in-game chat, or they're just not like unwilling to like use Discord, and then that forces me to do something different. But
yeah, I think it's if I'm playing on PC with people, I'm in Steam chat or on Discord and not in-game chat. And if I'm playing on PlayStation, occasionally I'll use in-game chat, but I find the PlayStation Party, just like Xbox Party, being much more stable and better audio quality. So yeah, I think that's part of it. I hadn't even honestly thought about totally playing just on one platform and crossing over. In part, that's if it's anything like Tiny Tina Wonderland or Borderlands 3, syncing up your character and all that is trying to remember your shift, your shift login and your 2K login. I don't know that it's worth the $60 to $70 for not having to keep track of extra logins, but it makes jumping on and jumping between easy enough. And then it's the benefit, just like Innate said, he's playing two different characters. He's playing Harlow, which is the one I'm playing on PC, the Inventor, and then the Siren on PS5. And the nice thing about that is that I'm not just playing only one character, that I get a chance to see different characters, and the dialogue is different between characters as well. I mean, the story beats are more or less the exact same, but the quips from the individual characters that you choose when you're in those story beats changes based on the personalities of the character that you've chosen.
Yeah, I can totally see. I mean, playing something that's RPG or RPG like, or anything where you have like builds, it's always made sense to me, or like not been totally nonsensical to have multiple copies.
I mean, granted, this is coming from you, the person who owns multiple copies of Clair Obscur, because you're treating each copy as its own build and game experience. So yeah,
that's also because I want to throw money at those developers. I'm not necessarily encouraged to throw money at Randy Pitchford or Strauss Zelnick, as much as I love Strauss.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough. Especially after last week's news around Firaxis. So
right. So I did mean to mention. Just want to give a shout out to Soiltech and Ramon Sorrell and Innate. We appreciate you guys. I thought I saw Priscilla in here earlier, but I could be wrong. Innate mentions he's playing Harlow on PC, the Inventor, and he's playing Siren in co-op play on PS5. Okay. And so, Tao, no other questions on that topic? Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to segment 2, the news this week. This first news story over on Dual Shockers by Karan Pahuja. Fans of the Dying Light series have been... Oh, no, sorry, I should read the headline probably first. Dying Light: The Beast global release time moves sooner. Fans of the Dying Light series have been eagerly waiting for the last few years to get their hands on a new zombie parkour action game. While Dying Light 2 didn't have the smoothest launch, as it had several bugs on release and many players faced performance issues, the game has improved a lot over the years and currently sits on mostly positive reviews on Steam. But no matter if you like the first game or the second, the new spin-off Dying Light: The Beast is almost here. And since the game already has over 1 million pre-orders, the developers are celebrating this milestone by moving the game's release forward. Now, this has been a game that has mildly been on the edges of my watch list since it was shown at a showcase. I don't know if this summer was the first time it showed up, but I think there was an update from the summer, and that's when we got the release date that it was coming out in September. They have pulled the release date back by one day, and so now it launches on September 18th versus the 19th. I often comment that it's an attention-based economy. It may be a little bit of a reach or a stretch to say that they pulled it back to avoid iPhone Day. But, regardless, for anybody who's got the new iPhone coming in on Friday, at least they're deconflicted with that. The game will be playable in LA on the West Coast at 9 a.m. PDT. So I am assuming that it is not finding the East Coast time. Oh yeah, noon on Thursday. So neat for people who have been interested in are tracking it. I know that it is, not hugely in the zeitgeist, but there is a little bit of a burble around it. I think this is a game that does require an SSD. It's been a recent topic that I've been kind of digging back into a little more, is that, the acknowledgement, that there are more and more games on PC that are, requiring more stringent PC specs, whether they're requiring, greater than 16 gigabytes of RAM, meaning that, there's been a couple of games I want to say that have come out at 32 gigs, maybe not at their minimum, but at their recommended. And then, of course, there are games, like Doom, the Dark Ages that have come along that are now, mandating hardware ray tracing and kind of upping the ante. For either of you, is this a game that you've been keeping track of?
I've been checking it out every once in a while. I played Dying Light 2. I never played the original one. I really liked it. I really enjoyed Dying Light 2. Played it with co-op, actually, with one of my friends. And probably get this one eventually, probably not a release, but definitely look forward to picking it up.
I want to say this game is one that has a close relationship on Xbox. So do you have any idea if this is going into Game Pass?
I don't think so. I don't remember hearing anything about it going to Game Pass, so I don't think it is.
I know that it was on the Xbox showcase this summer. And it doesn't look like it's launching day one on Game Pass.
Okay, but that should mean that it's at least Play Anywhere. Since I want to say the summer showcase was one where they said everything that was shown was a Play Anywhere title. So there's that. Let's go on to the next news story, the big Mamba Jamba. This week's Nintendo Direct, which I thought was a pretty big deal. It starts off. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tal.
No, I was going to say before we go, like one of the things I thought of after the fact is that there wasn't a traditional June Nintendo Direct. We didn't get the kind of classic E3 Summer Game Fest window of a Nintendo Direct. We always had speculation, but it was right around where Donkey Kong Bonanza was launching, and so this 60+ minute one really seems to it fits the mold of that traditional big game direct where it has a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think more and more we're really in the age of, and there are going to be some people who don't like it because maybe they have a different opinion. We're really in the age of sometimes these things sell themselves, and so my feeling about the summer was like the Nintendo Switch 2 kind of sold itself. Like there was no need to do like a big hoopla direct. Right around the time that thing was coming out. They had done one in the spring. There were no really new games coming out. You had World Tour, but World Tour was just kind of a rehash with a tweak of Mario Kart 8, and everybody knows what Mario Kart is. So I feel like they, deliberately held back till they had something to do that was a bigger splash, this fall. But I'm sorry, Tal, I didn't want to steal your thunder. Why don't you go ahead with the story?
No, yeah, you're good. There was a good mix of stuff coming out. A lot of stuff that we've heard about already, and not so much since some new stuff coming for this year and next year. And kind of just as usual, I'm just going to kind of pick through the few things that kind of stood out to me. I think overall for me, it was like it was good. Like it was good. Like there wasn't a whole lot that I was super excited for, but I could see other people being excited for a lot of stuff, especially near the end. And I think maybe you, Game Logic, might have liked the very end, possibly of the game that they showed. But just to go over some of them. Well, the first part, or a good bit of the beginning, was the Mario 40th anniversary stuff. So we heard about the movie, and there's some of the games are getting Switch stuff like Wonder, stuff like that. But for me, I really enjoyed the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 bundle that they're going to be releasing in October 2nd. Looks like they have some enhancements to it, so it's, I guess, remaster or some. I don't know what we want to call this one.
I don't know that it's. I mean, it doesn't necessarily appear as a remaster, but it definitely seems like it's not just a ROM dump like the All-Star one was 5 years ago.
Yeah, like a retool, I guess. Maybe we need to think of a new term now.
I mean, this is still. I mean, so these games were they both Wii U games? Or one of them was a Wii game.
It was Wii, I believe. I think both were actually Wii, weren't they? Yeah.
Yep, they both were original Wiis. Yep.
Yeah, so this one will have enhanced resolution, improved UI, an assist mode, and then some new storybook content throughout the game. And then I think there's going to be a physical book, the storybook that's going to be released later on in the year. So I think November. So yeah, I played the first one, Super Mario Galaxy, which I believe that's what the title of the movie is going to be, to Super Mario Galaxy movie. So we'll get to see probably those characters a lot. I know we saw that star in the first one, very, very depressed, kind of helper star that during the a few times here and there during that first movie. But yeah, I played the first one. I never beat it. I just I got distracted by all kinds of other stuff, and then I just never played Mario Galaxy 2. So I'm kind of excited to be able to play both of those on the new system.
So this is one that falls in the bucket to me of the games that were released on Switch because they had been imprisoned on the Wii U and so many people hadn't played them. And I realize this doesn't fall in the same bucket as far as like how familiar people are and how many people played them before, but it's still kind of the same thing. And therefore it still kind of gets the advertising speak that Nintendo does, where they deliberately don't call them a remaster, right? But it's a Nintendo game that we're putting yet again on another new hardware platform, because other than that, there's really no way for you to get back to it unless you have like the old hardware.
Yeah,
I'll be a little more crass and say I think the only reason that this kind of re-release exists is that the movie is titled Galaxy. That if the movie was titled something else, I think we'd still get something related to Mario as a 40th birthday. But I think this is very much we're going to tie in and start building the brand awareness around the spring movie release.
The movie, I mean, we're so lots of the podcasts that I'm on, the movies, the TV shows are very central pieces of the content we cover, and I actually don't like them. Like it, just because, like I don't care about them as much. This is at the late 90s and Mortal Kombat, right? And like no good video game movie has ever been done before. So like I just don't pay attention to that much. That being said, it definitely caught me off guard that like, oh, this is the way they're going to go for the sequel, of like all of the different iterations of Mario. It surprised me that, because the first game to me wasn't as tightly coupled to the notion of a game in the series, right? It was just kind of an introductory Mario tale that didn't really have to do with any specific video game. So the code switch of doing the sequel, like tightly coupled to the notion like of a specific iteration of the series, just kind of caught me off guard. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know too. I guess the one thing that surprised me when they first started this was how they said the movie was the big content of the 40th anniversary. It wasn't a game, it wasn't anything like that. So, which I like as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, okay, there's no new game coming out. Obviously, with at least within the next year, maybe after that, but maybe 2027 we'll see. Or maybe the end of 2026 we'll see a new Mario game. I guess there's still time for that. I suppose.
To me, there are new Mario games coming out, right? I mean, here's one coming up that we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah, the next one, and the next one is the Mario Tennis Fever, which I've always enjoyed the Mario sports games. So, although I don't think they've done a baseball one in a while. I was kind of wishing for a baseball one, but they do. Excuse me. They've done a lot of soccer and tennis over the last decade, actually. But this is Mario Tennis Fever.
The last tennis was the second year of the Switch, so 2018.
Yeah. So, but this is Mario Tennis Fever, which is their tennis game, which you get the Fever rackets now have the special abilities tied to them, so you'll be able to do that. That looks super cool. So I'm very excited for that one. And then skipping ahead here a little bit.
So just before we go to that, this one actually kind of, and again, I'm not like a super huge Mario fan, but this one also kind of, not necessarily threw me for a loop, but just kind of surprised me because embedded in this game is like an adventure game, right? That you play through utilizing your tennis skill sets. So, it's the Mario baby thing. No idea how big this content is, but I just thought it was super interesting that, like, particularly, for a console that is often the introductory console for kids, that should they not enjoy playing like the sports aspect, they can go in and play like this little adventure game.
Yeah, they did.
I think also kind of learn the gameplay as well. Go ahead, Tao. Sorry.
No, sorry. And I believe they did that with the last one too, where you kind of go through this little like adventure. This one looks a little maybe more, I don't say open world, but you can do a little bit more. Like there's a little more mini games and stuff you can do here.
Yeah, in Aces, it was pretty confined in terms of kind of a linear path.
Yeah. So this looks like, I was kind of surprised about that too, because I thought when they started bringing that up, I thought that was like a totally different game because they're showing the baby, the baby versions of all the characters, but it was just like a separate mode. And then they show like Mario Wonder, extra stuff there. Yoshi, the Mysterious Book, that looks kind of interesting. They always kind of do, I guess, kind of, I don't want to say experimental, but kind of different, like graphically. With Yoshi, you had Woolly World and some of these other games that they do. So that looks kind of cool. It's kind of a storybook look. Dinkum was actually the next one I was interested in. It was kind of a cozy game.
I'll stick a note in here. So being a guy, so having not played like a lot of the historical Yoshi games, I was a person who was a big fan of actually Yoshi's Crafted World on the Switch. So this title, getting another like Yoshi centric game, I think is super interesting coming to the Switch too.
I really like the kind of watercolor look to some of the graphics as well. Like it'll be interesting to see what the gameplay's like, because it has a very Yoshi Story type of, it looks relatively simple in its gameplay, but it could be a very approachable title for younger people as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like Crafted World because it was puzzle-ish in its elements, just like, DK is, and just like some of the Mario games are, but then not overly focused on like platforming physics, I mean, there's kind of light combat, but it doesn't require you to be like super precise from a shooting perspective, and doesn't rely on, the hyper precision, like we talked about last week. With platformers, so yeah, it should be interesting. Look for it. It's a good palate cleanser type of game. Is what I'm expecting it to be, just like Yoshi's Crafted World was.
Yeah,
I'm also expecting that Yoshi shows up in the movie, which is was the teaser at the end of the first movie, which I think is why this is a spring release. It all. So as the innate comment of being a hater, right? Like all this feels like it is a marketing march toward the release of the movie. Like it is very much, we're going to have the Yoshi game out. We're going to have a Mario Tennis game. We're going to give you, rather than give you the Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Wonder right away as an upgrade, we're going to wait until in the spring and kind of stagger this all together so that month by month there's something Mario related coming, building to the movie. Which, if your movie made over $1 billion like it did, I can understand why there's a incentive to build around that from a revenue source.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the movie, but I feel like like the parent level above the movie is even just the 40th year anniversary, right? I'm also surprised that the second movie is this quick. I don't remember hearing buzz that like, or knowing, and maybe there was, I just didn't pay attention to it, that like the sequel was coming in 2026.
Yeah, this is kind of probably the biggest thing since the original announcement that we've heard anything about the second movie. So they had some, a little teaser trailer, I guess you can call it. But that was pretty much it for now, at least. Which kind of
so I think you're going to a game beyond this one. So I just wanted to point out that Stormlancers, I also thought, looked very interesting from like a little kind of Contra side scrolling type of game that actually shadow dropped the day of the direct.
Yep, that one is out already. Yeah, most of the other stuff looks like it's coming out this fall. Oh, we got Tennis is February of next year, so we got a little bit for that. And then the Switch, like I said, is October 2nd for the Galaxy bundle. And then the next one was Dinkum, which kind of a cozy game, farming and crafting, setting up villages and stuff like that. I know it's been on PC, and I think even the other consoles maybe for a while. I know PC because it's like every other time I open up Steam, it's like on the little recommended page for me at least. It's always on there. So that looks pretty cool. Looks interesting. The next game, and that's coming out November 9th. The next game, Popucom, that looks very interesting too. Kind of it's a match game. It's like a match 3 game, but you're actually in a physical 3D world where you're kind of going through the land, kind of matching up stuff. So that's kind of something different. It's not just a static screen, 2D screen. So that's pretty cool.
This was on my radar when it released for PC earlier this year. It's a multiplayer only, but the idea of kind of a match 3 kind of 3D shooter or third person shooter is kind of a fun twist.
I saw some comparisons to Splatoon. I'm like, I guess maybe, but
it reminds me more of certain like event types in Fall Guys.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, I'm assuming there's like multiple stages. Obviously, you're going to go through and try to finish. So, but this is more like co-op multiplayer, right? It's not, you're not competing against each other.
Yeah, it's all co-op, and like if you're playing with 4 players, each player gets a color. If you're playing with 2 players, you can swap between colors. Is how it kind of works.
I mean, I'll mention at this point, I was kind of surprised overall during the direct that there were so many games that were games as a service type of games, because you typically don't think of that with the Nintendo Switch platform. But it seemed like there was a lot more of that content than normally we would expect to see in a direct. But yes, but all of which being, PvE, like Animal Crossing type of co-op, right? Where you can be in the same world, or it's directly, co-op PvE type of stuff.
Yeah. Next up, we got Tamagotchi Life, Living the Dream, where you can actually create a Mii, more advanced Mii, it looks like, and kind of just go about its day, help it out in this little town. And that's coming out spring of next year. That one looks interesting. I don't know. I know there was another one released, I think it went earlier this year, maybe even not too long ago. I thought there was. No?
Of Tamagotchi? No. I mean, this one was announced last year.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I thought there was something that maybe I was just thinking of an old one that you can play on the current system. I thought I got confused.
I think maybe the Switch had like a something, but
could read in one. So it looks interesting. There's like at the beginning of the trailer, you kind of see, and I think they showed at the end, where you actually can physically, I'm assuming touching the screen, it gets reactions from the Mii's or from your character, and you can do other things to manipulate the world and stuff like that. So just like a kind of sit down and chill kind of a game, sit down and play. So more, once again, like Game Legend says, kind of Animal Crossing or that type of game, except creepy. You don't like the Mii's? Are creepy because of the Mii's, the way the Mii's look?
Yeah.
Next up.
It feels like anime Chucky or Megan or something like that. Just kind of Uncanny Valley type stuff.
We got the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, which has a bunch of the classic games. Actually, some of the early 3D Mortal Kombat games, which I might get eventually, just because I didn't play a lot of the early 3D ones, like kind of blocky N64, GameCube, era, PlayStation 2 and I guess 1 and 2, I suppose, era games. Final Fantasy, remake integrated, which they've been, I think that was originally announced during the first Switch 2 Direct, I believe. They gave a date of that for January 22nd next year. That'll be coming out.
One of the other announcements that came around the Final Fantasy is that all 3 remakes will end up being on Switch 2.
Oh, okay. Nice. I did not hear that.
Which
Was that afterwards,
yeah.
I'm assuming?
I think that was afterward, and that
Okay.
wasn't anything that was confirmed prior to either.
Okay.
When you say all 3, that's the first half, the second half, and then the bundle, right, with both.
No, it's the first game, the Intergrade, and then the Rebirth, which came out on PS5 and last year and PC this year, and then the untitled third game that's completing the story.
To be determined or to be announced.
I think I'm just going to start calling it Final Fantasy Deathly Hallows. Just because they're arbitrarily splitting it up like into pieces.
Yeah, but you're going to buy all 3 of them, right? Why make this just one purchase when you can make it 3?
That's right. We got Link to Banner of the Spark, excuse me, which is rogue like or light, but then also in between your missions you can do a little bit of kind of cozy stuff like farming, crafting, just kind of building up your town and fishing, stuff like that. So I'm kind of interested in that one. I think that's out on
game.
PC already. Yeah,
PC and I think console, Xbox and PlayStation as well already.
Okay, so that's coming out. Actually, that came out that same day, September 12th. So it's already out. Hades 2, which we got actual release date for September 25th. So right at the end of the month. I know a lot of people, and this is 1.0, I believe. This is like the full release. And I don't think it's a timed one, right? Like the first one was. I think this is going to be released on everything on
it's
the
a
date.
console exclusive. First.
Oh, is it a console exclusive? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I wasn't
I
sure.
think that was one of the things they announced. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted to go back and play the first one. I haven't had a chance. I know I'm sure I can pick it up for pretty cheap on sales and stuff. But this one looks interesting too. I just kind of like I always like the graphic style of even the first one. That kind of anime-ish kind of almost looks like old school anime to me, kind of like 80s, 90s kind of art style. But yeah, that's definitely looking forward to that.
One of the interesting things I read about Hades 2 afterward was that Nintendo's going to be publishing it in certain regions.
Oh, nice.
So now, does it come out on PC the same day?
No, this is DB said this is a console exclusive for
console, but it will be on PC.
Eventually,
it'll come out of early access on PC, right? It's been in early access on PC since last May, which has had multiple iterations, but I think it will go 1.0 simultaneous on PC and Switch.
Okay, because I was going to say that's a knife twist and super diabolical for you to have the game on Steam early access and then release it on console first and leave dudes on PC in early access. I didn't think it was going that, but I didn't pull the thread on it.
Yep. Yeah, because I think the first one was originally just Switch, right? Initially.
Oh, PC first, and I think the first console it was on was Switch as well.
Oh, okay, PC first. Okay. I got some more Kirby Air Riders. I think there's another trailer. I don't know if it was different or not. I didn't really watch that one. And then plus the amiibos, being announced. Hyrule Warriors. We got some more.
Hold on. You're not going to talk about $50 amiibos? Oh. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Keep going on.
Well, we'll just keep going because we got a lot going. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which we've known about that. They just kind of show some more gameplay. This actually looks pretty good. I didn't play the first one, but maybe go back and play that one, and then this one when it comes out. That's coming out November 6th of this year, or I'm sorry, November 6th of next year. Or is it this year? I thought it was supposed to be this year. It says 2026 here. Yeah. Okay, it must have just been a typo.
This is the first time it's got a release date in the calendar. Before, it's always been winter, and so the question, kind of the speculation was does this get a 25 release or is it a January game? And we got that answer.
Yeah. So
So the last one like this was entirely a Mushu game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And this one is partially Mushu, but I also saw a lot of stuff in gameplay that was not just standard Mushu stuff. It looked like.
I mean, it's co-developed by Koei Tecmo, so I think it's Mushu at its core. Whether it has some other building aspects or other things in it, I'm not sure. But yeah, I anticipate it's slashing through hordes of enemies, similar to 2 other games that we'll get in this direct as well.
Maybe they do a little bit more story stuff too, like kind of like they did with Origins, like that's story heavy, at least at the very beginning of that one. So maybe get more of that. We got can't talk today. Dragon Quest VII Reimagine for both Switch 1 and 2. So I don't know. I've never been a Dragon Quest guy. I don't know if you guys are excited for this one or might play it.
So I'm curious about it. I own Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS, which is a remake of the PlayStation 1. This is a reimagining, so it'll be interesting to see what is actually different, but whether or not I pull the trigger on it's a whole different question. One of the things I had read was that the part of the reason why the characters look the way they are is that there's also figurines that are being released along with this in Japan, and so they're kind of modeled after that same aspect. Game Logic, I stepped on your toes, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this is one of the ones that I'm super excited about.
Because usually they're more like a cell shady kind of graphics, right? These games, yeah. Okay, so I thought, yeah, because when I first saw it, I was like, it kind of looks like Dragon Quest, but I was like, there's something off about it, and I realized it was like they're 3D models instead of the kind of drawing. Up next, we got the Virtual Boy for Nintendo Classics, which will actually get a peripheral of the old Virtual Boy system. You just pop your Switch into it, or Switch 2. Well, I guess both of them. It's coming out for Switch 1 and 2. Pop it into that, and I believe that was $100 for that thing.
Yes.
Saw correctly. Okay. But there is also like a cardboard one you can buy. Is that 50? I can't remember the price for that.
25 or 30.
25. Okay, so not as much. Yeah. So you can.
So the crazy thing was. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say you can relive your red game goodness there with the Virtual Boy games.
So what's crazy about this is it just kind of overall, right, is so as a person who, like, when they bought their Switch 2, also, like, a little bit at a time, ordered all of the retro controllers that go with the Nintendo Switch Online libraries. What's crazy with this one, I don't think you can play these games like just via, like, you can play the other Nintendo Switch Online games without the classic controllers, right? You could just use your regular Switch controllers. But as far as I know, this you can't. Like, you have to have, right, this peripheral.
Well, so you can play with the Switch controllers, but in order to get the 3D effect, you'll need one of the 2 peripherals because of the way that it's rendering the image, because it's putting 2 images together, similarly like Labo VR did, where it split the screen and put 2 images on there. So yeah, I guess technically you could play it without the thing, but you'd have 2 smaller screens looking at you, and what that fidelity would be is a whole different question.
And so it's just insane to me that, I mean, Virtual Boy was niche, but they have to believe that, like, the people. I mean, and it hasn't been a small crowd that's been asking for this, and very loudly. So it's crazy to me, the cultural demand that the Nintendo platform creates and how they're able to dive back into their back catalog and raise up something like the Virtual Boy and make it a thing. And that controller, and the way the Nintendo Switch Online works, you're not going to be able to even order that controller unless you're subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online. So it's just insane. Crazy.
So can I ask another insane question? Because I haven't seen an answer to this, but the cardboard one for $25 has no stand. How are you going to keep it up to your face and also have controllers in your hand?
You hold it.
But then how do you control the game?
The controllers go on either side of it, is what I thought I saw.
Okay.
You can see it in the picture. Yeah, right.
Right.
Got it.
They're still stuck in there.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay.
I'm assuming when you have it in the
Now
regular-
I can order a cardboard one. Okay, I've got that answer.
Well, that's still a weird ergonomic to me, right? Like you're gonna have the controls on either side of your head,
it's like a periscope.
right, with it stuck to your face. Whereas at
My
least with the
optometrist is gonna love that. Like, why did your vision suddenly take a nosedive?
like at
What do
least
you
with the
mean? It's great.
at least with the Virtual Boy, I can't remember Koizu, or I can't remember the guy who presented this, but you know he was there. Like he had his head stuck in the actual Virtual Boy, but he had a Joy-Con grip with the controllers in it, like kind of held in his hands, like out in front of him. So yeah, it's just insane, the whole thing.
It'll be interesting with that one. All right, up next, Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly remake. I've never played any of these games, so I don't know if you guys are interested in that or not. We also have One Piece, Pirate Warriors 4, excuse me. Now I don't know. I'm assuming this is out already on other systems because it says Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So yeah,
Muso game. Yeah,
another Muso game. That's what it looked like. Overcooked 2 Nintendo Switch edition. So they're just adding some new stuff for that. Stardew, which I'm kind of excited for. I do have the original one on Switch, the original Switch. I don't know. I didn't see any. If there was like just an update for this one, for the old one.
On Switch. Well, it has mouse control and 4-player on screen is what I think the updates are.
Well, what I mean is, do you have to pay for like the upgrade, or I didn't see any mention of that, or is it just like an upgrade, like a free?
There's no mention of it being a paid.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking you probably have to pay for it if they didn't just say it's free. But we'll see. The other good thing about that one too, along with the split screen, is also game share, so you can have other, if one person has it, you can share it out to other people. We got Nintendo Switch 2 version of the Human Fall Flat, so that's always kind of a fun puzzle game. Power Wash 2 Simulator, which is the newest iteration of Power Wash. Suka Game Planet, which is the fruit game, as I like to call it. I think a lot of people do. So you got new. You're basically in like a globe and kind of throwing down the fruits in that one. So probably picked that one up because I played with that one with my wife a lot. So that'd be a nice game to co-op with. Metroid Prime Beyond looks like open world because you get like a motorcycle now, or at least some parts, big areas or something, because they show you get a motorcycle kind of traveling around this. I think they just showed like a desert area in this trailer.
We didn't get a whole lot of gameplay. I'm assuming that we'll get a dedicated Metroid Prime Direct before this release in December.
So and they also did give the date of December 4th of this year, so they always kind of have like a big December game, or big-ish, so this looks like it's going to be the one. Kind of weird for this game because they're kind of just like piecemeal giving out stuff every now and then. So I'm assuming they'll do a direct for this one eventually. So maybe I don't know. I might pick it up. I've never played, never been a huge Metroid fan, but and not even the Prime games back in the day, which I would have thought, because it's first person basically. But we'll see. Maybe I'll pick it up. I don't know if you're interested, Game Logic or DB. I don't know if you played the other ones.
Definitely. Yep, definitely interested in this one.
Nice. Next up, we have some DLC for Donkey Kong Bonanza, the DK Island kind of reimagining, along with the Emerald Rush mode, which looks like a kind of roguelite, where you kind of making runs trying to collect these emerald gems. So
yeah, it is. My son's been playing it since it dropped on Friday. So yeah, it's very much you are going through. You've got different multipliers. It is a run based. You're going through different levels. The bananas are still in the same spot. You start with no abilities, and every banana you break gives you a different ability. When you find fossils, you get like a choice of 3 different multipliers, and you have certain kind of objectives to hit within a certain time period in order to progress through the level. Is how the gameplay is structured.
So is the DK Island just that mode, or is there like some other like story mode stuff for the DK Island?
So the Emerald Rush is the roguelike mode, and DK Island is more of just a hangout space. What it like. It's a space to put your trophies from the Emerald Rush, and interact with characters throughout. So it's not much of a game aspect to it, more of a locale. And then the Emerald Rush is the actual game edition.
Okay.
So it's not. So DK Island is not the addition of like a bunch of new sub levels or anything.
No.
You can't break it up, or can you? DK Island. Do you know?
I mean, I think you can.
You can.
I think so. I watch my son play more of the Emerald Rush than kind of wander around DK Island, so I can't necessarily know. But,
Well, when you say break it up, Tal, you're asking, can you buy them separately?
No. I mean, can you like bust through the level, like the physical, like
Destroy
point
it,
in the level,
yeah.
like destroy it and stuff? Yeah. Because I know they show like the minecart stuff, like going through the island, which is kind of a staple of the old games. But I don't know if you could do anything else other than just kind of mess around in it, basically. Up next, we have Pokemon Pokopia, which is kind of like their Animal Crossing rendition of Pokemon. You play as a humified Ditto. He or she turns into a human, and then you kind of just tool around this area, growing crops and building houses or decorating houses and stuff like that. So right up my alley, because I Pokemon person and Animal Crossing, so probably definitely pick this up. And then as you're doing these different things, like the different Pokemon pop up, so you collect them at that point. So I've seen pretty much good positivity toward this game, but also a lot of people saying how the human Ditto's a little creepy, a little weird, talking about some creepy things earlier on that other game. But I don't know. She seems fine. It looks like a girl, so I'm just going to call it she. She seems fine, but I don't know. A lot of people had problems with it, but I was like, all right, that's fine. We had some more Pokemon Legends ZA, some more mega evolutions that were kind of shown through this new trailer. I mean, I'll be able to pick this one up on October 16th. It's coming out, so I really enjoyed Violet and Scarlet. Technically I got the Violet version, but so I'll definitely be picking this one up. Danganronpa, I think that's how you say it. 2x2. So I think this is a remake, right, with some added gameplay in it. So
yeah, Danganronpa is a long-running kind of story visual novel type series.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out the lingo for a visual novel. Yeah, Dynasty Warrior Origins is coming to Switch 2. Obviously, came out. What was it, last year? I believe earlier this year for pretty much everything else.
January of this year.
Yeah, will be January of next year, according to this, January 22nd. So come out for the Switch 2. I wish I would have known that. I probably would have waited and got it on the Switch 2, but that's all right.
Well, I don't know if they knew.
That's true. Yeah, they might not have had the kit yet for that.
Yeah, it'd be super interesting to see if this thing is able to handle like the thousands of units that wind up being on the screen and all the animations.
Yeah.
Although I would think with Koei Tecmo, I mean, Nintendo's had a pretty strong working relationship with them. They were, co-developing the Hyrule Warriors game prior to release, so they must have had specs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the trade-off is in terms of the processing power.
Yeah, I mean, the Age of Imprisonment looked pretty good. Looked pretty solid. I didn't see any. I mean, obviously, it's a pretty quick trailer for that, so you're not watching it run, over a long period, but it looked pretty stable and stuff. So maybe they can do the same for Origins. And I know some of the older ones from the Switch version run really well, like the Fire Emblem one. I've tried out, so we'll see. It's a new trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, for the Switch 2, coming out March 13th next year. Monster Hunter. And then there's a sizzle reel. I don't know if there's any of these that looked interesting to anybody here of different games.
FC26, I'm interested to see how that drops. I think I've mentioned that before because it's the full version of the game this year. It's not like a partial release like the last few FCs have been on the Switch. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD2D remake, and Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage. I'm interested to see how those come in.
Yeah, that one, Virtua Fighter 1, I completely forgot about the game, but yeah, I want to definitely pick that one up because being a Virtua Fighter fan. DB, anything on this quick list here?
I'm trying to remember which one. The FC had a couple. The last two editions on Switch were their regular. They were in Frostbite. But I think for me, the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 is really interesting. I have Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D on Xbox, but usually played it streaming through Steam Deck. So having it on handheld would be nice.
Yeah. Next we had, I believe, a new trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. I actually didn't see the original trailer that they announced. I don't know, what was it, a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, for this game. But I believe this was a new trailer, along with also RE7 8 Gold Editions coming to the Switch next year, February 27th. I think those are all dropping the same day, right?
They are all dropping the same day, which is
kind of weird. Yeah.
I would agree. But yeah, this is the first time on a Nintendo platform that you're not getting the cloud editions that they were on Switch 1, but were the cloud editions of 7 and 8.
Yeah. And this one looks like it's kind of more maybe Resident Evil 7-ish, kind of, going through this creepy house. Strange doings going on.
So the one thing I will say about this is February is insane just for Nintendo. Like, there's like a dozen games just on the Nintendo Switch dropping on in February. So it's in that, and we've seen over the years, like things get pushed out of holiday season. They wind up showing up in Q1. February is when things start to heat, right? And then March gets really contentious. So it's just going to be, and now there's this glut, right, of games that are striking to come out before GTA 6. So it's just going to be, it's going to be a very interesting 2026 for game releases.
Yes. And then the last one they closed the show with was Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave for both Switch 1 and 2. Just come out next year. They didn't give a date yet, so I'll have to see. Maybe spring, or maybe they'll wait till the end of the year for that one. Never been a mainline Fire Emblem person, so I don't know if DB or Game Logic, if you're going to be checking this one out.
I'm saying definitely, but I will say that, so we had extensive discussions last generation about the difference between Three Houses and Emblem, and
Engage,
yeah. And so, with the notion that Three Houses would have been the game that you would have gotten on the big boy Nintendo, and Engage would have been the thing that you would have gotten on like a 3DS. This thing doesn't feel to me like Three Houses. It feels like something in between, squarely in between Three Houses and Engage. So, like I said, it'll be yet another thing that is interesting to see exactly how it drops.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see more, as my dogs bark about. They love the character development of Three Houses, right? Like the idea of it, it's hard to tell if it's going to be more Three Houses, because Three Houses was very much about the relationships and the kind of in between strategy moments, where Engage was much more of the strategy. All we really see at this point is strategy and some cutscenes. So it'll be interesting to see where it straddles that line, but it would make sense that it is somewhere in between.
Yeah, it looks like there's some kind of like factions going on, maybe just kind of the way they were showing the different characters and stuff. So maybe it might lean more to Three Houses, but yeah, we really don't know anything right now. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the direct. So I don't know what's your guys' overall thoughts of the direct. DB, I'll go with you first.
I think if this was 10 years ago and my kids were of a different age, I would see all kinds of stuff in here that I would like playing with them. That doesn't answer how I feel about it, but I will also say that even my two 20-something, early 20 sons were both excited about the breadth of material coming out. As someone who owns all systems, there wasn't a whole lot here that got me super excited.
Yeah, I'm the other way around. I didn't see a large number of things that got me excited, but the things that I did see, I was very excited about. I feel like we talked about like on the Nintendo Switch. I feel like there was so much this like kind of sprint and drift, where like, okay, here comes like the big first party thing, and then you would get kind of several months of like not a lot of stuff, right? And I feel like here in this first year, you're getting a more evened out and spaced out, right, and better timed like battle rhythm and release cadence, at least so far, and we'll see if they continue that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, there's once again, I think they do this a lot too with at least their major directs. There's a wide breadth of different genres that they show during the directs. So RPGs, just a little bit of shooters, side scrollers, obviously a lot of roguelites type of games. But I think, like I said at the beginning, it was pretty good overall. Nothing that I think I'm more like DB. Like there was more third party stuff that I was kind of looking forward to here. Other than they have mainline Pokemon stuff, obviously Mario, but and just in general, just kind of more stuff from the third parties.
So tell your next story about the Acclaim showcase. We're getting tight on time, so I don't want to scroll through the entire thing. Were there any particular titles that kind of jumped at you as being particularly interesting that you think you're really gonna pick up and play?
I was gonna say the two were the Basketball Classics game, which I think was the second one on the list there. Kind of retro, almost double dribble type-ish basketball. Although it looks like you can maybe change the graphics, or if there's different modes. Like kind of at the beginning, they show it. Obviously it's retro, more 2D-ish. But then they're like near the end, they show almost like it's Atari type graphics where it gets even more pixelated, the characters and stuff. So, but it looks pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then the other one was I think it was the very last game. It was the snowboarding game. Hyper Yuki Snowboard Syndicate. So kind of a 3D, and most of the games I think were kind of 2D, pixelated, kind of ish, maybe two and a half games. But this one was actually a 3D snowboarding game. So just looked kind of cool, almost. Was it Jet Set or Jet Grind? Radio type of
kind of graphical style of that kind of early 3D cell shaded aspects. Yeah.
Yeah. So those two I think kind of stood out. With a couple of other ones, they look good, but I think those are the two that I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, I was surprised that the basketball game has been out on PC since 2019, which I didn't know anything about. But it looks fun as a person whose first purchase of a NES game was Double Dribble. Definitely, it looks in that vein, and the snowboarding game looks fun. So yeah, those are the two that stuck out to me too.
Alrighty. And DBQ, do you want to at least mention yours and just kind of give a quick brief on it?
Yeah, so this is a kind of a non-news story, but I didn't see it anywhere except for on Reddit. And so this is XB Play is it's an app for the Steam Deck that allows you, and also on iPad as well, that allows you to stream your game through Xbox. And it works flawlessly. I picked it up, I think I paid like $7 for it last fall, and I played a lot of Metaphor ReFantasio, and the most way I played it was on my Steam Deck streaming from Xbox. And it is, there's other things out there that allow that, things like Greenlight, but this was super easy to set up, super easy to connect. The stability of it was really strong. And just yesterday on Reddit, the developer announced that they're ending support for it. So it's something where the real flexibility of the Steam Deck is the kind of open source aspect that people can sideload in and do other things with. And this was one of those things, an app that was sanctioned by the store, at least released on and paid for through Steam. So, but it's, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to be able to develop something that's going to similarly allow this, or at least try to. And, but it was a very user-friendly way that didn't have you necessarily get into a whole lot of settings within your Steam Deck as well.
Okay. Very cool. So I want to take one question from the floor, from the chat. E8 mentions, I'm really interested if you guys all have the same interest in Pokemon you've always had, with all these massive changes they are making to the series compared to the Pokemon we know and love. And so I guess to paraphrase E8's question, his question is the changes that they're making theoretically are to keep people engaged in the franchise, or to kind of switch up the formula, from a very long running series. I will start because I don't have a lot to say, and I don't say this to cast any aspersions on the Pokemon crowd, like I would if we were talking about the Bethesda crowd or the weirdo Square Enix crowd. But I've never been a Pokemon person. That's just not a franchise that I've been into. But I think Tao is the resident Pokemon expert, and I think DBQ, you have playtime in there as well.
To be honest with you, I've only seen a little bit of some of the changes because after like the first, and I kind of do this with a lot of games. I think I've said this in the past and even other media, but after like the first trailer or so, I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. So I kind of wanted to go dark after that. I went dark after that, so I don't really know like all the specifics. I know some of the gameplay changes are you can actually move around the playing field when you're actually going against the different Pokemon and actually like dodge attacks and kind of do more like real time stuff. But I don't know the specifics of that and anything else that they might have announced other than like the Mega Evolutions, which those have been in the series before. So I don't think that's really much of a difference. But can't speak too much of it.
Is your big takeaway like are you fine with the changes that they're making, or are you wishing like they would just like leave it alone and like give you more of the stuff you come to know and love?
No, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with the changes. I mean, as someone who plays Fortnite and that changes like every season, like I would rather have them do that and change everything, not change everything, but change stuff up because you're going to get those people that are going to complain. It doesn't matter whether you leave it the same or if you change it, to drastically change it or even just do minor changes, people are going to complain. But I kind of welcome the changes like that. And that kind of comes from Fortnite because they were always changing stuff. And yeah, sometimes I like, certain weapons and stuff or certain maps, but I'd rather have that change than it just always being, same thing every time, so it's fine with me.
So and Nate's question and his follow up in terms of just the way that's spun out in so many different, I think Pokemon as a brand can be malleable that way. Like the Ditto game actually makes a lot of sense. Like Pokemon has been malleable in lots of ways. There was I always struggle with this, right? Nimboda's Ambition game. That was Pokemon Conquest. There was Pokemon Ranger on the DS where you're drawing circles around things. The Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer.
Yeah.
It's something where they've been able to drop characters in. To me, Legends it's not in the main line, so it is okay to play with that. I really enjoyed Arceus because Pokemon Legends Arceus on the Switch because of kind of the open world and kind of going around and actually hunting Pokemon. And it would be really nice to have an open world that has a better draw distance and a stable frame rate. So I like this idea. I think the real question becomes, because of all the, the different types of changes, how stable, how consistent are they going to be with whatever their new mainline multi-releases? We had Pokemon and Violet. Given the popularity of Pokemon and the franticness that Pokemon cards have at this point, like throwing it in multiple different genres, as somebody who's been playing whatever the little Pokemon daily puzzle game is on Android and iOS for a while, I think Pokemon Friends, there we go. It works in a variety of settings. It doesn't have to feel like my traditional Pokemon to understand that it's going to resonate with an audience. But innate, I would say that if I had my druthers, the game that I appreciate the turn-based aspect of traditional Pokemon RPGs. And I'd go back and even say like the complexity in Pokemon and Violet in terms of all the different Mega Evolutions and everything else was more than I needed. That I never even picked those up. That I think my classic Pokemon interest ended a generation or two ago.
Okay, very cool. This next news story, I will just make this a very quick hit just for awareness. I think it's interesting. We've talked many times on this show about kind of the discoverability problem and how, you used to be able to do that effectively with Steam. You can't. It's like 2018. Game Pass has kind of become, a big discoverability point. I think, for a lot of people today. This news story over on game developer Square Enix heads to Latin America to help launch a browser native demo platform Spawn. The Japanese company's first investment in the region will purportedly transform game discovery. So I thought it was super interesting that here we have a Japanese publisher making an investment in a service in Brazil. But it is a browser native discovery platform, and so essentially it's a place for you to go kind of window shopping and look at games where there are demos. I'm not sure where they spin you off to if you decide that it's something that you want to play, but basically it's a dedicated place for you to go to maybe get away from all the clutter that you wind up seeing on a store that has like every game there for purchase, and just kind of look through what's available to demo. So like I said, we won't get into the details tonight, but obviously the link will be in the show notes, and you can check that out if you want to dig at that and look at some other research. Let's go ahead and go on to segment 3 and do this as much as we can as a rapid fire. Our remaining gamer experience shows for the rest, gamer experiences for the rest of the week. Other things that we've been playing outside, kind of the main stuff in segment 1. So for me, I've been doing another run of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, this time on the PS5 Pro. So this is actually the third run that I'm starting after my secondary run that is on my Steam copy of the game. I was kind of interested to see how this played on console, because I know that there's been significant uptake on console of the game as well. So I wanted to kind of give that a whirl. Also gave me a chance to play it, on my larger, 43-inch monitor, kick back with the controller. So I've been having a pretty good time with that. I've also been playing some EA Sports College Football 26, playing the Mizzou Tigers, where I had I think an upset of the Florida Gators, but then a heartbreaking loss to, I think Mississippi State, who was a slightly better overall score team than me, but was like 4-4 when I was ranked like number 4 in the nation. So that toppled me down to number 12. I now have a nice cakewalk game, I hope, coming up against Troy State. So I'm hoping I can get my moxie back during that game, but I'm having a good time playing that. And then I've been playing the Division 2 on PC as well, continuing just kind of my comfort food run there. DBQ, you've been playing an interesting indie here?
Yeah, the Edge of Allegoria is something that came out on PC last fall. It came out on Switch last month and just was on sale for like $14. It's normally $20. It is a RPG kind of, it's in Game Boy aesthetics in terms of very kind of pixelated, kind of monochrome green in its art style. But its hook is that it's a comedy to some degree, right? It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got a lot of snark and sarcasm in its dialogue. Definitely some adult language as it goes through. The character kind of comments on different enemies as they come up. But one of the things, so it's light, it's fun, it's you get into, this goes back to Nate's question. Like when you enter a battle screen, it looks very much like Gen 1 Pokemon. You are in that idea, that kind of turn-based battle there. One of the things that it does really interesting, and this is the only kind of hook that I think really stands out for me, is that each of the different weapons, if you use it enough, you gain mastery, which gives you a special attack from that weapon. But then that special attack carries over to, it stays with you even when you swap out weapons. So as I've been going through it, like I'll end up with multiple different special attacks that I've earned through different weapons. And if you can string those special attacks together, they inflict more status effects and things like that. So it's an interesting way to kind of force you or to encourage you to keep playing with different weapons and kind of build a kind of combo of different special attacks as you're going through kind of this traditional JRPG from the 1990s.
Very cool. Two other games that I've been playing: Doom: The Dark Ages and PGA Tour 2K25 on PC. Nice thing about Doom: The Dark Ages is I spent some time playing it on my RTX 5080, which I realized this week I've not been sufficiently using well enough. And then continuing to play through PGA Tour. It's kind of nice that it's uncool that like you earn XP right in the game by playing well, but then when you go to apply that to do an upgrade, you still have to have earned essentially their equivalent of V-Bucks, which obviously they would prefer you to buy. So like progression is almost non-existent to ridiculously slow. But it is nice that you can feel, even when you do like the teeny dollops, very stingy, upgrades, that you can feel them and they do make a difference. Like I've gotten a significant number of upgrades to like clubs. And so you can feel that, improvement to contact and improvement to swing distance and improvement to precision and accuracy. So, it's fun. It's, I've had some good rounds where, normally Pebble Beach kicks my butt in most golf games, but I actually had like an incredibly good round of that time. So, it's fun despite the stinginess. Tao, what about the other two games you've been playing?
Quick question on the PGA. So obviously clubs, like if you're getting different clubs or upgrading those, it makes a difference. But do they go kind of more deep into it than like you can customize like your clothing, like with shoes or something, or gloves and stuff?
It's a 2K game. I mean,
how much virtual currency do you want to spend? Yes.
Okay, that's what
it has
for $10 you can get a Nike hat. Yeah.
It has a full PGA Tour Pro Shop, and you can buy gloves, trousers, shirts, shoes. I think you can buy watches, and all kinds of stuff. I will say, I mix stuff up just to give it like a change of flavor. I will say the most interesting change I recently made is I bought a kilt in the Pro Shop, so now I'm wearing that on one of the PGA Tour championships I'm in now.
Gotta watch for those windy days when you got well, so I guess my second question or follow-up question, so do the clothes make a difference too? Like they give you, it's just aesthetics?
Yeah, it's just aesthetics.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I didn't know how deep they got into it. All right, so yeah, my two games real quick. No Man's Sky, which is probably the two games I played most of this past week. Played mostly on Steam Deck, and then a little bit on PC earlier in the week. I actually finished the Voyager's Expedition. It was actually pretty quick because I think it was like under a week because it just came out the week before. So I got like the big thing you got out of that was like a new companion that you can get. It's like kind of this robotic, almost bug-like thing, and then you got a new part for the Corvettes that you can build, which was I think it was a new weapon, I believe. So, and I don't know how I haven't looked really that hard or looked up online, but I don't know if that specific piece like now I can find within the world, or do I just have it like infinitely? So I gotta look that up a little bit more. The more weapons you have, it gives you a higher class on your ship, at least on the weapon system. So we'll look that up. Playing on the Steam Deck, I kind of do more of the grind kind of, so I'm flying around just looking for the different parts, or like I was grinding for money most of the time this past week, and there's a bunch of ways you can do it, but I was just looking for the Sentinel ships, and you basically sell those or break those down and they give you a bunch of parts that basically it's kind of like free money. So I was doing that just so I can build up my money, so I can, if I want a part for my Corvette, I can just buy it instead of like doing the trade system that they got in there, which kind of works, pretty much works, but just outright buy it instead of fooling around with that, because there's like a percentage of like there's one part you have, and then you have like three parts you can trade in for that one part. Sometimes you have to play around with it depending on what the part is. So I was like, yeah, I'll just buy it if I want it. So I've been doing that. And then the second game is Star Wars Outlaws, which I'm still playing on my Nintendo Switch 2. More of that I played at the beginning of the week. I didn't get to play it really this weekend at all. But I did play it docked, and I didn't really see too much of a difference. The one thing I didn't notice with mostly with the main character, but some of the other characters, like the hair or the fur, there's almost like this it's not as defined, I guess you can say. It's not like jaggy, but it's like you can kind of like see through it a little bit more than I could on the playing it portable. So, but other than that, I mean, it still ran fine, and I didn't see any other graphical glitches or errors or anything like that. So I'm still enjoying that game. It's pretty fun. I really like the faction system. So you got the rebels and then the Empire, obviously, but then you have like Crimson Dawn and the Pikes and the Hutts that you can like align with. And if you're aligned, like right now, I think I'm aligned with the Crimson Dawn or maybe the Hutts, one of the two. So I have pretty good standing with them, but if I go into another section, like they'll just start shooting you like right away. It's kind of cool. They have that kind of that back and forth that you can do. But if I want to change, I can go do some stuff for like the Pikes or something or the Crimson Dawn, and that's then it will go up. So it's pretty interesting the way they do that.
All right, very cool. Thanks a lot. To wrap up the show, quick rundown of the significant releases coming out this week. Lego Voyagers comes out on September 15th, tomorrow, on a PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure who put that in the rundown. Any idea if that's on Xbox One and Series?
I think it is. Yes,
Okay.
because it's also on Switch. I put it down because it's a game we talked about during the Nintendo Direct. Yep.
Okay. Yep. On September 16th, on Tuesday, is Skate coming out on PC, PS4, and 5. Xbox Series, I presume, also Xbox One. Ratatan coming out on September 18th, so Wednesday, PC, PS5, Xbox, I'm going to assume Series, and Nintendo Switch. DBQ, what is Ratatan?
Ratatan is the kind of spiritual successor to Patapon from the PSP, the little rhythm action game. It's by the same developers.
Is this a Bandai Namco published game?
That's a good question. I'd have to look it up.
Okay. We mentioned earlier Dying Light the Beast, September 18th, actually. The significant releases lists that are up on a lot of sites haven't adjusted that date in accordance with the new news, but that's coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And then an interesting game that I've been tracking is Jump Space, coming out on September 19th, so this Friday, on PC and Xbox Series X and S. This is a game that is a little bit like Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, and Left 4 Dead, strangely enough. So it is a game that can be played as 4-player co-op with you all kind of in the same ship. It does not support. I've seen that it supports controllers. I suspect that it will support joysticks that just emulate a standard Xbox controller, but it does not support HOTAS, which out of the box, which just, I mean, they're an indie developer. I appreciate it, but I think it just needs to be understood that, like, look, if you're putting out a flight simulation, space simulation game, you're hardcore people who we all play with HOTAS. That's what we're looking for, and more importantly, I really expect you guys as developers to put that information up front and very easy to find, because it's the first question that we ask, and every time I have to go digging for it.
But this game also, you're dropping into third-person action as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why I say Elite Force and Star Citizen, right? Because they both allow you to. Well, Elite Dangerous allows you to get out and walk around your ship. And do that in co-op with other people on your ship, and then Star Citizen, because that allows you to exit your ship, and so you are able to exit your ship, and there's like 0G combat out in space with grappling hooks. There was a demo out for this game, so it has been out in a community with lots of people playing it. I did not play the demo, but the game, I think the game goes into, I think this is early access that it's going into at $20. So it's very low asking price to kind of get in and check it out. So I'm super interested in it. I've been trying to figure out how to make time to play it because, gas is a thing, but the Left 4 Dead concept also interests me, because that means mission structure. You can get in, you can play a mission, then you can get out. And you could do that asymmetrically, right? You don't have to be locked into like a campaign. Everything could be chapter oriented. So I need to pull that thread and do some more research and maybe spend some time in the game. So I'm kind of very interested in it. Anything else you guys want to go over tonight?
Just to follow up to your answer, Ratatan is published by GameSource Entertainment, so not a Namco Bandai small developer or small publisher.
Okay, very cool. Well, thanks a lot for everybody who came through the chat. We appreciate you, Enate, Soil Tech, Infinite Umbra, Ramon Terrell, and Hero Down Under. We appreciate you guys being here. Anytime you're able to make time to come through. For anybody checking out the video on demand, the archive version of this on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, we appreciate you as well. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can just receive a notification whenever we post new content. We will be back next week with episode 404, where Tau Master will be the host and DBQ and I will be flying back up. So until next time, take care of yourself, stay safe out there, play the games that you like, and come here to talk to us about the games that you love. Once again, my name has been Game Logic from the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, one of the co-hosts of the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast. My co-hosts tonight have been DBQ and Tau Master. Until next time, good night, good luck, and good gaming. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here.